Welcome back to Clippers and Conversations. I got another haircut tutorial for y'all. I know it's been a while. I did a couple videos and the audio got messed up. So with this one, I'm going to shoot it out the mic. I want to see how the quality comes out. Hopefully it's good. If not, I'm going to figure out another way to get my audio. So I like to break down my haircuts into 5 steps. If you watch my videos, you already know. Step 1 will be the consultation. Step 2 will be setting your foundation. Step 3 will be setting your guidelines. Step 4 will be blending. And step 5 will be detailing. So I'm gonna start with step 1, that's my consultation. What I always like to do is step out in front of the client. I feel like that's just more professional. It's a better way to make sure you don't miscommunicate, because when you're behind the client and you're talking, you're distracted, you're doing other things, and you're trying to get what kind of cut they're getting, you might mishear them or something like that. So it's just best practice to step out in front. That way you can make sure you hear them and you're not focused on something else. So how you getting your haircut today?
Number 2, mid, tight, bald fade.
Number 2, mid, tight, bald fade. Okay, so he getting a 2 on top and a mid. When you say tight, you mean skin, or you talking about
skin?
So is that what you mean by tight when you say tight? Okay, all right, cool. So somebody was in the comments, talking about the way I do the consultation. And, you got to understand the client might say one thing, but they might mean something else. So the goal is not to try to educate everybody on haircut terminology and stuff like that, because depending on where somebody is from, they might call one thing something else, but they mean something else. Like the term burst fade means something somewhere else, but here it might mean like the typical burst fade, like we know it as barbers. My goal during the consultation is just to understand what this person means and what do they want. I'm not too worried about the terminology and all of that, So you might hear somebody say, oh, taper or something like that, but I might ask additional questions sometimes. Or if I already know, if I've been cutting this person, I already know what they mean, but I might ask additional question like, what do you mean by taper? Like when he said tight fade, I'm like, what do you mean by tight fade? Because to a barber, a tight fade means one thing, but to him, tight fade, when he said tight, he just meant skin, so that's just a tip for y'all. Like, don't get so caught up on trying to be so smart and educated when it comes to just the main goal is to understand what the client wants and delivering that. So y'all want to be on the same page. It's not about being so educated on terminology, because if you're in a certain area where it doesn't matter, everybody talk the same way, you might be all right. But I'm in Hawaii, I got people that's coming in from all over the world. So I've learned quickly that I can't really go off the name of the haircut, because somebody might say, I want one guy used to come here, he'll be like, I want a high top fade. All he really meant is he just wanted a fade. But to me, as a barber, high top fade meant something else. But I was asking him about it. He was like, no, this is where I'm from. That's we just say high top fade, and we just mean fade, So, okay, I'm done harping on that, So that's the consultation. That's step 1. Now we're going to step 2. Step 2 is setting your foundation. What you do when you set your foundation? For this cut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the top down with the 2. We're doing the 2 against the grain. I like to have my clipper all the way in the closed position when I'm doing this, because it cuts true to the guard size. And I'm going to really just focus on the top, because since I know we're going to fade this out, there's no point in wasting time trying to cut all this hair down, because it's going to get faded anyway. So I might cut it down to about this part right here. Notice too, while I was talking, I was combing through his hair. When you set your foundation, you always want to comb through the client's hair first. And what you're doing when you're doing that, you're checking to make sure they don't have any bumps or any products or anything in their hair that you should be asking them about. But I already did that, so I'm going into setting this foundation. So I got my 2 guard, starting from the line all the way to the back. And that's real easy right there. What you could do too to make this easier and make sure you're doing a clean job with it is do like you really just scrubbing the head. So you're gonna go over that same area a couple times. Right now I'm using my Stylecraft Mythic clippers. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I meant to use my my TPLB clippers because they're a lot quieter than these. I might switch to those when I start doing the fade. Usually for my video, like these are my favorite clippers to use, but usually for my videos I use the other clippers because they're a lot quieter. And like I said, we're not gonna focus too much on, when you set this foundation for this, you're not gonna focus too much on this bottom part right here. If at any point I mess around and take them out of the camera, please forgive me, because sometimes I forget that I got this camera on my chest and I be I'm cutting and talking and facing all kind of different ways. So yeah, doing this part shouldn't take you no more than about 2 minutes, for real. 120 seconds. Real simple. Just get that hair off and smooth. All right, so we're gonna go to the next step. Step 2 is setting your guidelines. So we're doing a mid fade, he said, right? He said mid fade, right?
Yes, sir.
And we're doing skin on the side. So for my mid fade, what I suggest my beginner barbers do is find a place on the client's face that don't change. So for him, what I'm gonna do, I'm looking at the bottom of that eyebrow. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna line that up on both sides. That's when I'm gonna start my first guideline. And honestly, know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drop it down just a tad bit lower than that. But I'm still using that guide right there, just a tad bit lower than his eyebrow. And I'm going completely closed. This is open position, this is closed position. Closed position cuts more hair, open cuts less hair. So we're gonna close. These videos are geared towards beginners. So I'm gonna say a lot of things that might seem obvious to you if you've been cutting hair, but these are beginner tutorials. Just letting y'all know, for y'all experts out there that like to watch beginner tutorials for some reason. I like to break these haircuts down to where if it's your first time picking up the clippers, you can follow. What you're doing for your guidelines is I do flick out a little bit on the edge like that. I'm setting that guideline, just so y'all know. And what I would do, I'll go halfway. I'll go from here to halfway, and then I'll start on the other side. Then you remember what I said about looking at that eyebrow? That way I don't have to go look and know what I did on the other side. I know I can set these guidelines up the same way. So unless this person has like a non-symmetrical type face, which is really rare, I don't see it too often, you should be able to do this. So I'm looking at his eyebrow. I remember I went down just a tad bit lower, so that's what I'm doing this side too. Doing the same thing. For all of my fades, I like to make them drop. So that's why you see me doing that curve down. That's just something I'm gonna do automatically without the client telling me. It happens sometimes where the person is like, I don't want the fade to drop. I want it to go straight. So if the fade wouldn't drop, it'll be, when you start that line, it'll keep going straight across like that. There won't be no drop in it. But I just like the way it looks when you drop it below this area is called the occipital bone. When you drop it below this area, I just like the way the fade comes out a little better. That's just my preference, you know. You don't have to do that. And we just make the line connect right there. Y'all in the comments, let me know how this audio is. If y'all cool with me doing these without the microphone, I can do it like this. Just know that you're gonna hear everything in the shop, everything in the background. It's cool now because nobody's in here but me and him. But I noticed on the other videos where I didn't use the mic, you can hear every conversation in the background and everything. But if y'all cool with that, I'm cool with that. So just let me know in the comments. I was really discouraged after doing those 2 videos and the audio wasn't good though. It made me not want to do no more videos for a second. So that's why it took me so long to come out with another video. Cause doing all that work, all that talking, and you go back and play it back and there's no audio, it's kind of like, man, I did all that for no reason. All right, so when you're done setting that guideline, you're gonna set, so you essentially, when you set your guideline, you're setting 2 guidelines. You're setting your ball guideline, then you're setting your nest guideline with no guard open. So I go completely open, no guard. I go about, a finger length. If you hold your finger that way, I go about that length. You can stretch it. It makes the fade have a certain look. So that's what I might do on this one. I might stretch it a little bit just so y'all see the difference. So that would be the difference when he said tight. So did you mean, when you say tight, did you want the fade to be like a tight blend? Or when you said tight, you really meant?
Skin tight.
You mean skin, okay. So for barbers, usually tight means, this is what we're talking about, either you stretching the fade or you're making the fade tight. And what that does, it really controls the way, how gradual that blend is. So some people like the high and tight where it's bald, then all of a sudden it's hair, but it's still a fade there. To me, if I'm gonna pick one, I'm gonna do a stretch fade or a normal fade. So I'm gonna show y'all how the stretch fade turns out because it's a smoother blend. And to do that, all you're doing is when you set that second guideline, you're making it thicker than what you normally would. So I'm gonna do that so y'all can see. It's a little bit smoother look. Just a tad bit. I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. So y'all see how thick I'm doing that second line? I'm doing it a lot thicker than I normally would. So same thing on the other side, I'm gonna go halfway and then I start on the other side. Second guideline. And I do a flick up motion at the end. What that does, it kind of somewhat starts to blend for you. So when you start doing the blending phase, you don't have to do as much work. And by flicking motion, what I mean is I'm going up and out, going up and out. All right, there we go. So that is our 3rd step. Now we're going to the 4th step, and that's blending. So after that, we only got one more step. So we almost done with this cut already, just like that. So what I like to do something called blending down. So what I do when I blend down is I'm gonna start with my highest guard, and then work my way down to my lowest guard, or no guard, essentially, to knock these lines out. When you're blending, your whole goal is to knock out these guidelines. That's really all you're doing. I want to blend this line in, I want to blend this line in. And that's it. So what I normally would do for just looking at it, I would just go straight with my one guard, but for teaching purposes and for safety, I want y'all to start with the highest guard you use. Highest guard we used in this cut was the 2, so that's what I'm gonna start with. The 2, I did the 2 against the grain. So we're gonna start with the 2 against the grain. Then we're gonna work our way down. Blending, only do one side of the head at a time. So I'm gonna completely blend this, I'm gonna fade this all the way out. And I'm gonna just leave this here at the bottom though. And we're gonna come back to that detailing. And I'm gonna go to the other side, I'm gonna fade it all the way out. What that does is it keeps you focused. You don't get overwhelmed by looking at the whole picture all at once. Just focus on this area, it helps you stay on time and everything, just trust me. Get this area good, and go to the other side, get it good. Then in your detailing phase, what you do is you have a better view of what you actually need to work on. Because a lot of times you try to do all of it at once, you might spend too much time in one area trying to get it perfect. But you go ahead and do this side, move on, do the other side, move on. Then we got detailing. Then we can look at everything as a whole to see what we really need to work on. Sorry, I mean, if that's confusing to y'all, sorry. I'm trying to find a way to break that down to where y'all kind of get what I'm saying, you know. It just, I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen so many barbers cut for too long, trying to get it all perfect at once. And you really got to learn how to just move on. And there's time to look at the cut in the end. So this is the 2. I'm just knocking all that down. I'm completely closed. One thing to note is when you have your higher guards on, when you're blending, like I'll say from like your 1.5 up, you're really gonna be either completely closed or completely open. There's not too much in between with that when you come to blending. So I was completely closed right there. Now I'm gonna go to my 1.5. Now I'm gonna start completely open, just to see if it's cutting anything. If it's not, I'm gonna go straight, completely closed. And I'm working on that line. Once I see it's not doing anything else, I just move on to the next one. Somebody told me, oh, it's not as simple as throwing the guards on, but you see me doing it. Like, it's as simple as I'm doing it. Like, you really just gotta, like, see it through. Like, don't doubt yourself. Just do it and see what it looks like in the end, you know. All right, now I'm starting completely open. There is some skill involved. The skill really comes into play when you get down to no guard, though. This is like the easy part. All right, I'm completely open. Now I'm gonna go completely closed, but I'm gonna go right on that line right there. If y'all can see this line right here. And that's why I said up until you get to the 1.5. So because with the going completely open, completely closed, because with this guard, I am going to push the lever down a little bit as I go up, just to kind of get that in between length. And the higher I go, that's when I start using the corner of my blade. So you might see me doing that a few times. When you get down to the 1, that's really when you're gonna start using the corner, the 1 and no guard. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to create a whole new line. So instead of going all the way up like this with the blade, you'll go with just the corner. I'm moving that lever as I go. So yeah, this is where the skill comes in at, because I can't tell you every time I move the lever. It's something that just I kind of do naturally, and you'll kind of get the feel for that. Sometimes I might be doing it unnecessarily. I ain't gonna lie, but I got a habit of doing it. It's just natural. So what I do is when I feel my hand going up, I'm naturally pushing this lever down as I go up higher. If that makes sense to y'all. And as I come back down, I'm naturally just pushing it. And once I take it back down, I go lower on the fade. I'm pushing that lever up. So those two motions should be going together. You know, it's not something that you should be thinking too hard about. It's just, and I don't think there's ever anything that I really thought about too much, even when I first started cutting hair. All right, that's that for that guard. All right, now we're on the 0 guard. If you don't have a 0 guard, if you got another brand of clippers or something, it's whatever guard is below your 1. So if that's a half, you use the half. The whole point of these videos is to get you a system. Please go watch my other videos. You'll see I'm doing the same system on different hair types, different haircuts. It's really just to help y'all have a thought process going into these cuts so you don't get lost or discouraged. If you've been doing this system and it's helping you, let me know in the comments. That encourages me to keep doing these videos when y'all let me know it's actually helping y'all. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, let me know too. I will respond. I'm gonna respond to everybody, you know. It doesn't mean that I don't want those comments. I do like the comments. I'm a natural like debater anyways. I'm a you know, if I disagree with you, I'll let you know, but I'm not taking offense to it. Like, let me know. That's how we all get better. You think I'm wrong about something, you can let me know. And I'll let you know why I think I'm not wrong. But, you know, it's all about having conversations. You know, I don't know everything. It's one of those industries where you never stop learning anyways. If you think you're too good to learn something new, you're probably not that good of a barber. You want to be constantly learning something new. All right, so you see I did the same thing in my 0 that I did my 1. I just kind of start using more of the corner in the blade, as you can see. So when I'm seeing like little dark areas, I just use a little corner. Again, just so I don't create a whole new guideline with my guard. All right, now we know guard. Once you get down to no guard, most of your focus is gonna be on that bottom line. So we're gonna start there, starting open again. Anytime I put a new guard on, I'll start open, and I work my way down to close. Well, there's no guard in this case, but anytime I change guards or anything like that, I'll start open because I want to see how it's cutting first and kind of adjust from there. Another good thing about doing that stretch fade, it made this part way easier. Because there's just so much room to work with versus when you got the fade, when you got it tight like that, there's not as much room to work with. So you kind of got to blend. You got to be real careful with your blend so you don't push that fade up. And you can kind of already start seeing how smooth that transition is versus the tight fade is less of a smooth transition. All right, so I'm leaving this here on purpose. We're gonna come back to that when we do the detailing. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So while I do this side, so I'm doing the exact same thing, so I don't have to tell y'all every single step. You just see me doing it. Obviously, I'm starting my 2, working my way down to no guard and blending it out. Then we're gonna detail. Detailing, all I'm doing is lining the fade up and cleaning this up, then looking around, make sure I didn't leave no dark spots, nothing like that. So while we doing this, I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about myself. I noticed in my other videos, I ain't even said what my name is, none of that. But it's really because I was kind of debating if I really want people to know know my name and stuff like that. If you watch some of them, you might have heard one of the clients say my name and stuff like that. But my name is Chris. I'm originally from South Georgia. Right now, I'm currently in Hawaii. I've been in Hawaii for the last 11 years. I came out here through the military. I was in the military for 4 years. I started barbering about 15, 16 years ago, even like before I joined the military. And even before that, I came up in a barber family. So this industry has always been a part of my life. I told my dad I wasn't going to be a barber actually growing up because my dad, he's a barber, my grandfather's a barber. And they laughed at me, like, oh, you going to cut some hair, But it's just because they knew that, this is a skill that you can always fall back on no matter what, If I didn't have no other source of income, they know I can come at the barber, So, and they was right. So I joined the military, trying to run from it. And even then, though, when I got my first check, the first thing I did is when I went and bought some new clippers. And I was that guy cutting everybody in the barracks and stuff like that. And eventually I started cutting in the shop out here in Hawaii while I was in the Army. And I was cutting maybe like 2 or 3 days a week, just on the weekends, so like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then doing that, I was matching my Army check, so I was like, shoot, I might as well just do this full time. Because before that, I was going to like pursue IT, because that's what I did in the Army. And once I saw the money I could make doing something that I don't have to try hard to do, because I always just did it. It just came natural to me. I decided to get out and open a shop. But I didn't open the shop immediately. I got out. I worked at a few different shops out here in Hawaii. And then long story short, eventually I built my clientele up. I started renting out here. Then the opportunity came up for me to open my own shop. So I took that opportunity. And about 3 years later from the time I opened my shop, this is where we at now, So this shop right here that you see in the videos, this is my shop. The name of the shop is Mr. Harris Barbershop. You can look it up. You might can type in Mr. Harris Barbershop, Why Hill or something like that. And this will be the shop. I named the shop Mr. Harris Barbershop based off my grandfather. He was known as Mr. Hare in Georgia, in South Georgia, the shop I grew up in. So I just wanted to kind of use this shop to kind of honor him. So that's kind of been my whole motivation, just kind of bringing honor to, my family, the legacy that they left. If you see that wall over there, you'll see all the names and everything up there. That's all the barbers in my family. Well, not even all of them. That's a lot of them, But yeah, that's how I got here today, So I tell all that for y'all to, just stay encouraged, Barbering, I got not only that, I got a wife and 5 kids, and my wife, she's a stay-at-home mom. And I've been able to take care of my family through barbering, and I've been fine, So don't think you can't have a good career being a barber. If you take it serious, you do the right things, you keep learning, get licensed, do everything the right way, it can open so many doors for you. All right, so now we down here on the 1. Back to the lessons. So we on the 1 right now. We're working our way down still. And you kind of can see how I move versus like when I'm teaching versus when I'm just talking. I might move a little quicker. When I'm teaching, I kind of try to slow it down a little bit so y'all can see. And even so, I probably need to slow it down a little bit more so y'all can see a little better. All right, that's the 1. Now we're on the 0 guard. Same thing, starting with the clipper open. Now I got it closed using the corner. As I work my way up, I open it back up. So another thing too, I say do one side of the head at a time, is it helps you track your time a little better. You kind of can divide your time a little better. So okay, when I do one side of the head, I'm usually done blending that side in like 15 to 20 minutes. So you can know that, and you can kind of gauge where you at. Or you can gauge if you're behind or not, You look at your clock and like, man, I know it's supposed to take me 15 minutes to do one side, it's been 18 minutes or something like that. Those little 3 minutes matter. Like when you got a tight schedule, you cutting clients back to back, every minute matters, So you want to be able to track that kind of stuff. Because if it took you 3 extra minutes over there, it's probably going to take you 3 extra minutes on this side. So that's 6 extra minutes added on. Then you still got to do other things too. And that adds on time too. Before you know it, you're a whole 15 minutes behind, And that can add up a lot. Maybe not just for one cut, but let's say you do the same thing on the next cut. Now you're 30 minutes behind and you keep adding on. So you want to know your time because you don't want to have people just sitting there waiting for too long, or you don't want to be known for that. Be punctual. You want to be known for being punctual. Like, oh man, I don't never have to wait when I go in there. He always waiting for me. Like, that's what you want people saying. And then when they do have those few times where you are like pushed back or something like that, because sometimes it's not your fault. We get it. But when that does happen, people are a little more patient with you because they understand. They know, like, man, Chris always on time. Like, I know it had to be something going on today for him to be that late. So, yeah, that's just something for y'all to consider, to start doing so y'all can track your time a little better. They might tell you don't worry about time in barber school, but you're not going to always be in barber school. I'm just let y'all know, it gets real once you get back out there on the real workforce, you know? Like, you should be planning on having some kind of booking system, whether it's Booksy or the Cut app or something like that. Or you might be one of those barbers that's doing commission or something like that, or working as like an employee, getting a paycheck. Either way, you're going to have to be on time, you know. That's all I'm saying. I do always encourage people to try to work towards being on booth rent. I feel like as a barber, that should be the goal. You know, on booth rent, that's when you start making your own hours, setting your own prices, managing your own clientele. That way, if you ever need to move between shops for whatever reason, you know, that's your clients. There's nobody in between that. You know, you got direct contact with your clients. You know, you'll build like a good following. You know, I've had clients that's been with me through multiple shops, you know, since like being in Hawaii. I got in Hawaii and like, well, let's say I started cutting in Hawaii outside of the military in like 2017. So I have clients that's been following me from shop to shop since like 2017. And I'm not encouraging being a shop hopper either. I wasn't that. It just, over time, I've been here so long, it just kind of naturally happened. For whatever reason, shop shut down for some reason, you know, or sometimes it might just be time for you to go, you know. But the main point I'm trying to drive home to y'all is you want to put yourself in a position to where you have direct access to your clientele. And the way you do that is you get on booth rent, and then you manage your books. And then when it's time for you to go somewhere, you can contact everybody like, hey, I'm moving shop, starting a couple months, I'm going to be at this new location, you know. And that's how you do that. With that, I'll make a whole separate video on that too. It comes with other responsibilities too, like taxes and stuff like that. Like, you want to pay your taxes too. That's a whole nother separate video. All right, that ends that phase. Now we're going to go into detailing. This is the last step. All right, what we're doing with that, we're starting with the lineup. So since I'm already standing on the left side, I'm going to start with the left side. What you always want to do is tell the client to turn their heads toward you. So turn your towards me real quick. And make sure you straighten their head out for them sometimes when they turn. All right, and when you're doing your lineup, I like to use my finger. This is for beginners, so this is why I'm telling this part. Use your finger to support your hand before you touch. You're not going freehand. Like, I'm not going floating like that because then I don't have no stability. I could like rock and move like that. So you want to use your hand, your finger to support your hand like that, and then you touch like that. Another reason I tell them to turn his head so I can see the middle. I like to start from the middle and work my way to the side. And I like to look at both sides to kind of see what I'm working with. If one side is way receding more than the other, I can know that from looking from the middle instead of just being so focused on one side before I start. So I visualize before I start cutting. Like, don't just start cutting. Like, see the lineup first, essentially. I don't know if y'all can see in the video, but you see how his line grows. I'm going to start from right here and cut right there. I don't want to start from where it naturally is because it won't be much of a lineup. So I'm going to start from right there and go. I'm not going to try to get all of that where it's kind of slightly losing hair a tad bit, but I'm going to go a little bit higher. I ain't saying don't push people back now. There is such thing as professional pushback, but when you do something like that, you want to talk to the client first and ask them, like, what do you usually do? If it's your first time cutting them, like, because there are situations where that might be necessary to get a symmetrical line. But communication is key. All right, you turn your head back straight. Hopefully y'all can see everything I'm doing. On the sides, I'm kind of slightly pulling the skin a little bit when I do that with my pointer finger. On the curve part, it's a sliding motion. All right, so now we back. We had this part now where I left the hair. I left it on purpose because, for one, it saves time. Don't be wasting your time when you're doing the guidelines, trying to get all of that, because you're gonna cut it off anyways. Anything I'm cutting anyways, I leave it. Kind of like when I was telling y'all setting the foundation. I left a lot of that hair thick over because I knew I was gonna fade it anyways. I'm telling y'all, all those little minutes matter when you're doing things. It adds up in the end. That's something you need to consider, even when you setting your station up, like having stuff in the same place every time. That way, you don't gotta waste time looking for stuff. You want to be real systematic. Do things the same way every single time. That's the point of what I'm trying to teach y'all. You might switch the system up a little bit to fit the way you want to cut. The main thing is to have a system. Don't be trying to do something new with every single person that's sitting in your chair. You're gonna just be lost. I know when I was in barber school, a lot of people was like, oh, I use these clippers when I cut curly hair clients, and I use this when I cut straight hair clients, and I do this. Like, man, that's just too much, man. Just find a pair of clippers that can cut everybody, first off, and then find a system that you can use no matter the hair texture, Because you must have got a bad system if it doesn't work on every texture of hair that you cut. Like, when a person with curly hair sitting in my chair, I'm not switching the way I do fades. I'm doing the same process. You go watch my other videos. I do everything the exact same way, and the fades come out good. So don't overthink it like that. I mean, hair is hair, As long as you got them clippers, that's gonna cut it. And nowadays, it's hard to find bad clippers, man. All these companies out here making these good clippers. Some of y'all are like y'all in like a clipper cult or something like that, though, man. Like TBOB, everything. Like, man, we not gangs, man. I mean, if you like those clippers, it's cool. Like, they make good clippers. Stylecraft make good clippers. Gamma, all of them, like, they make good clippers, man. It's really hard to find bad ones. And I'm willing to use anything. I got my favorites, but to be honest, I could use probably anything and still get the job done. If you can cut, you can cut, So we'll do the same thing on this side. I just flip that clipper over. What I'm doing here, I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory. Just knock that hair off. The reason I flip it up is because I don't want to go up and make a new hard line. You do want to be mindful of that. And that's another good thing about leaving that hair there, because it kind of shows you where you should be stopping at. And if y'all kind of see now, the difference stretching that fade out it kind of made that blend a little more gradual, how the hair starts here and goes up there. If you can't see it, I mean, I would need to do like a direct comparison maybe, like between clients. Do like 2 clients on the video so y'all can see the difference. 2 clients with a similar hair texture. So that's that. I'm gonna hit him with the razor. And I'm just kind of fading his beard right here. I'm not cutting his beard. He usually take care of his own beard. I don't think. Am I cutting your beard there? Okay, yeah. He usually take care of that himself, so I'm just gonna kind of fade the top of it for him. This just about concludes this video. And like I said, with detailing, you want to go back and make sure there's nothing I'm pretty satisfied with how this cut looking already, so I don't really see too much I need to go back and do. I am about to hit him with the ball. I'm hit with the barber real quick, and I'm hit with the razor. So this is when you want to, like, this is why I need that microphone, because I know this is really loud going into the phone. So with the barber, all I did was hit it like the very edge. So in detailing phase, what you're gonna do is check below those ears, make sure you didn't leave no hair, those little areas like that. And new barbers too, y'all never get to see this in the video. When you take the cape off, always clean the neck up. You don't have people going out the shop with little hairs on their neck around there. I don't really get to talk about that part, but that's one of them things that's like a pet peeve of mine that I be seeing a lot of times. That's like a rookie cut your hair when you see somebody like walking around with hairs on their neck. All right. Lean back. Let me hit it back real quick. So if you can lean the client back when you're doing a razor, it makes it a lot easier. If you can't do that, at least have them lean their head down on the headrest. You want to do 1 new razor per client. I prefer Persona blades. For a lineup, does it really matter? Not that much. If you're doing like a full shave, it matters a little more. All right. So what I'm doing for this, I just pull the skin in the opposite direction, and I'm laying that blade down. This is how you hold your razor blade. And I'm supporting my hand. And this might not be the proper technique. This is just what I do. But I like to support my hand with my fingers. Kind of stabilize my hand so I can float above it like that. And with my thumb, I pull in the opposite direction. I got shaky hands. I do admire those people that can like kind of do this without supporting their hand. But I just always kind of had shaky hands. So I have to support my finger, support my hand with my fingers. Oh, you good? You ain't gotta move. The main thing with using the razor is stretching that skin though, in the opposite direction. When the skin is tight, you don't really have to worry about nicking nobody. You really start nicking people when you don't stretch the skin out, because that skin will fold up from the razor and kind of get nicked like that. I haven't nicked nobody in years, but myself, I nicked myself a couple times, being too casual with that razor. All right, so I'm gonna show him the cut just so y'all see that part. There you go. You go to the mirror. So you good?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, this concludes the video. Please comment, like, and subscribe. If y'all want to see more content like this, let me know. Let me know how the audio is. If y'all want to see something different, let me know. If y'all like this style stuff, or don't like it, just let me know. All right, appreciate y'all. Peace.